Okay. Okay, so we have not seen the supplement, let's say. Okay, I'll tell you. In strings, in C++, what this S4 is equal to S1 plus S2 will do is assign S4 to be S1 plus S2. Okay, let me just see out S4. So that will. Okay, I'll put a random string. Let's say S1 is ABC, S2 is DF, and this is A, D, C, E, F. What is missing? B, right? Yeah. So see, this is S4. So what is S4? ABC, ABC plus DEF. So it just concatenates both the string ABC and DEF into S4. I think you can see the drive folder. There is PDF and lecture both uploaded. Like it will make you much clearer. But I think this should be enough as well. Just concatenates both string S1 and S2 into a new string S4. Is it clear or you still have doubt? Right. Okay, yeah. You can see the video as well, like it will explain all the functions. There are so many functions. This sorting function will be explained in the reverse and swap. There are many more functions as well. Okay, so any more doubt in this one? I don't think so. Okay, yeah. No doubt. So I think we can move on to like the bonus one. I think all other are standings is pretty good. Yeah, see, everyone who tried have got it. So that's great. So I just wanted to say because this is a different approach. Many people did frequency and like many people did sorting as well. So that's nice. I guess now Ganesh will take over and explain one from the moderate set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll stop sharing. Okay, Ganesh, you can go on.
Is my screen visible? And am I audible? Yes.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Moderate set. Yeah. So from the standings I saw, many had a problem in this B question. So I thought I'll explain this B question. Subsequence height. Shubham has a binary string S. A binary string is a string that contains only characters 0 and 1. He can perform the following operation on the string any number of times. He can select an index of the string and flip the character of the index. That is, he can change it from 0 to 1, or it can change it from 1 to 0. A string is called good if it does not contain 0, 1, 0 or 101 as a subsequence. For instance, 1001 contains 101 as a subsequence, and hence it is not a good string, while 1000 doesn't contain neither 010 or 101 as subsequences, so it is a good string. So what is the minimum number of operations you have to perform so that you can make the string good? It can be shown that with any number of operations we can make the string as a good string. So okay. So first of all, I'll explain the subsequence part. For example, a string is, let's say 10010001. Let's say this is a string. So basically a subsequence is if I delete any number of characters. For example, if I delete this one, and this one, then and I form a new string. Let's say this is x1 and this is x2. If I form a new string, I'll have it as 1101. So you have obtained a new string by deleting some characters from the first string. So now S2 will be a subsequence. a subsequence of S1. Okay, so now what they're saying is if you have, so let's take the same example. 1 0 1 0 0 1 0. Okay. They are saying we should not have 101 or 010 as a subsequence. So this should not be there. So if you see here, if you delete this character, this character, this character, and this character, you can form a new string. You can form a new string as 101. So now we have formed this subsequence. So this string is not a good string. This is not a good string. Similarly, if from the same string, I delete this character, this character, this character, this character, and this character. Sorry, I delete this character. So now, if you see that this one also has 010 also a subsequence. So 010 is also a subsequence. So what they're saying is, so neither 101 nor this the 010. It should not be a subsequence of this string. So if any one is a subsequence of this original string, then this string is not a good string. And what you have to do is we have to change some characters in this string. So this one we can flip to 0, or the 0 we can flip to 1. So and then we have to make this string as a good string. And you have to output the number of operations that is needed for it. So can any one of you say what will be a good string in this case? Like, there are some conditions for good string. Like what type of string will be a good string? Like is there any pattern that can be followed so that we can execute the code? Can anyone say that? You can raise your hands. Yeah, okay. I have some answers. If all elements are same, then it's a good thing. Yeah, yeah, correct. That is one of the case. And if only one of the digits 0 or 1 should be present. Yeah, yeah, same. These both are the same condition. So yeah, that is a correct thing. And I have some raised hands, and I will make. So, Pradeep, can you answer?
For a good string, if the starting, for example, is 1, then
Okay,
this and the second element is 0, then
okay,
all other elements have to be 0. So you basically
okay,
have to uh, scan the entire string from the start until you encounter a character that was not the starting character, and all the characters after that have to be the same character that you encountered there.
okay. Yeah, that is also a possible thing. I'd also like to say that it's not only the first character. So that was actually a correct thing only. So not only the first character. So if I have any string s like 0001111. So um, so basically all the ones should be on the one side. Oh, sorry, all the zeros should be on the one side, and all ones should be on the other side. Or so this is the first condition. Or second condition should be like 1111 or 000. So all one should be on the left and all the zero should be on the right. So that is another condition. And then the other condition that you said that was also correct. Uh, so all elements should be the same. So it can either be 0, 0, 0, 0, or it can be 1, 1. So fully ones. Um, so these are the 4 cases where the string can be called as a good string. So our aim is to like make the string as a good string with the smallest number of operations possible. Okay, so I'll just check if there is only one test case. Yeah, okay, there are multiple test cases. So okay, so now so what we're going to do is at each instance, let's say, okay, let's have this example s 0 0 1 1 0 0. So so at each instance, what I have to check is I have to so at the starting I'll have 2 variables to have the total zeros in a variable and the total number of ones in a variable. So and then at each instance I have to check. So basically I have to check. So if I is equal to 0, I have to make all the elements, including that index, that 0th index, as either 0 and this fully I have to make it as 1. So I have 2 possible cases. So I have to make this as 0 and this as 1. So this is my first case, or I can make this part to be 1 and this part fully to be 0. So I can make this as 1. Yeah. So these are the 2 cases for I is equal to 0. So basically we are going to iterate through the full string and we are going to check like this for every index. So for changing this to this, what I have to do is at each index I can have a variable as c0, which would have the number of zeros before I, including I. So I'll have c0. So for the first iteration, c0 will be 0 for us, and then I'll also have another variable called c1. This will be the number of ones before I, including I also. Okay. So to get this string, what I have to do is I have to change all the elements before this to 0. So all the ones before this to 0. So I have to so for the first case I have to take it as c1. So c1 will have the number of ones, right? So this once you can change it to 0. So c1 plus and in this part of the string, all these zeros should be converted to ones. So I have to check how many zeros are there in this part of the array. So that would be, so the total number of zeros in the whole string minus the zeros up till this part. So that would be for converting to 0, 1, 1, 1. That would be the number of operations required. And the same if I have to do for 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. What I have to do is I have to change all the elements before like including this index and before this index, I have to change it to all the zeros. I have to change it to 1. So 0 plus total. So now this part of the array, I have to change all the ones to zeros. So the number of ones in this part will be total 1 minus C1. So the total number of ones in the string minus the number of ones in this part will give us the number of ones in this part of the string. So this is for I is equal to 0. So similarly, you can do for I is equal to 1, I is equal to 2. We can do for up to I is equal to n minus 1. We can do, and we can check between these two, between all the possible cases, if it is like which operation would require the minimum number of changes. We have to check that. So does anyone have a doubt in this logic part? So I think no one has a doubt. So I think we can go to the coding part. So okay, I'll have then x of I is 0, then we can increment total 0. So the string consists of only ones and zeros, right? So the total number of ones would be n minus total number of zeros. Because there are a total of n elements, and we have total 0 number of zeros, and then we can subtract it from n to get the total number of ones. So I'll again iterate through the string. Okay. Here I'll if and increment and the same thing what we used for this total one we can use for C1 also. So now we had iterated through n plus 1 element. We have iterated through I plus 1 elements. Yeah, I plus 1 element. So there are C0 number of zeros. So the remaining would be ones, right? So we can subtract that to find the number of ones. And now have also need to have an answer. I am initializing this to n is because At the worst case, you have to change all the characters. That would be the worst case scenario. So since we are going to find the minimum, we can initially initialize this to the maximum number of operations possible. So that would be better for checking. So now answer one. So answer one corresponds to this one, C1 plus total 0 minus C0. Minus C1. Yeah. Oh, I'll have a minimum answer table at minimum of one and answer table. For all the iterations, the least value should be stored in answer. So I'll have answer is equal to minimum. Some bracket missing. Yeah. Should be fine. Okay. We'll check for the test cases. I did not print. Okay, sorry, I did not give next line. There was one mistake. Yeah. This one, it's already a good string. This one is also already a good string. This one you can change this one or the either of the ones you can change it to zeros. That would be fine. Or you can also change the 0 to 1. That would also be fine. So it would require only one operation. And here also you can change either of the zeros to ones. And this is a single character. These both are single characters, so they're already good strings. And this is the example I showed you. You can change these zeros to ones or these zeros to ones. Or you can also change this ones to zeros also. Either way, it would require only two operations. That would be the least number of operations possible. So that's it for the subsequence height question. Does anyone have a doubt in this question? You can put it in the chat box or raise your hand. I think no one has a doubt.
I think if no one has a doubt, you can move on to the next problem.
No.
Okay, I
Okay,
get
yeah.
a doubt. Yeah.
Okay, there is a doubt. Can you explain that logic of answer is equal? Okay, C1 plus total 0 minus 0. Okay, I'll explain it with the whiteboard. So basically, an example. Let's say S is okay. I think I'll continue the same example itself. So Now at each iteration, so what I'm going to do is at the ith iteration, I'm going to change this string to either it should be changed to 0, 1, 1, or I should change this to 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So these are the both things that I going to change. At I is equal to 1, I'm going to change it to 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. I'm sorry. 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1. Or I'll be changing it to 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. So these are the things that I'm going to change. So basically what I'm going to do is at each iteration, I'm going to include that character and all the characters before it. If, for example, I is equal to 1, I'm going to include this character and all the characters before. Basically, I'm going to make a separation here. And before all these characters, so for example, if there had been a 1 here, I should also change this 1 to 0. So basically, I have to change all the characters before this I is equal to 1, that is s of I, and including s of I to 0 in this first case. And so this part I have to change it completely to 0. So basically, if there is any 1, I have to flip it to 0. And the same goes here. I have to change it completely as ones. So I have to, if there was any 0, I have to flip it to 1. I have to flip it to 1. So for that, I need how many ones are there before this, like including this I is equal to, including s of I, and before s of I, that is 0 less than or equal to, let's say for all index. So for all index, for 0 less than or equal to index less than or equal to I. So for all this, I have to check how many zeros are there. How many, sorry, for this part, I have to check how many ones are there. I have to check how many ones are there. And I have, and that many ones, I have to flip it to 0. So I would need that many operations to do that. And in the next part of the array, that is I less than index less than or equal to n minus 1. So for all s of index, I have to change every. So I need how many zeros are there. So that many zeros, I have to flip it to 1 to make this one. So how many ones are there? This we already know. This was what was stored in the variable C1. I told here. So you had calculated here, right? So so this would be the number of zeros before that index, including that index. For example, if I had been 1, first I would be 0, then C of 0 would have become 1. Then after that, at I is equal to 1, C of 0 would have become 2. So and I also I know the number of zeros before that index. So I already know the number of zeros before this index. So the number of ones before that index would be equal to, so at I is equal to 1, I have the first two characters to check. That is the first I plus 1 characters to check. So for the first I plus 1 characters, I have, and then I have to subtract the number of zeros. That would give me the number of ones in the first I plus 1 characters. That is what we need, right? And then for this one, I need how many zeros are there in this part of the string. So for that, what I can do is the total number of zeros in the whole string minus this part of the string. So this would be the total number of zeros. So we are forming this one. So I have to see how many zeros are there in this part. So the total number of zeros minus the zeros in the first part. The number of zeros in the first part, it is this one only, right? C0. So I have to subtract C0 from the total zeros. So the total number of zeros in the whole string. So that would give me the number of operations to change these zeros to ones. And then at last I can add these both. So I can add C1 plus total of 0 minus C0. So this would give me how many operations I need to make to convert this string to this string. So basically this was not a good string initially. So and when we have converted this to a good string here. And the same thing can also be applied to this one also. It is just the flip of the first thing. Okay. Does anyone else have a query regarding to this question? I think no one has a.
Okay, Ganesh. So I think if no one has any queries, we will end the PS5 discussion here.
Okay.
Thank you, Ganesh. Thank you, Mandra. Yeah, so I will just take it on from here. Ganesh, can you see my screen?
It's yeah, I can see.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, hello everyone. We'll just tell you about the drive first of all. So, I hope all of you have seen the drive. So, we have uploaded all the contents till now on the drive. So, like these are solution to all the problem sets. So, you can find the solution links as well as the solution videos, explanation, and these include solutions to like easy, medium, and hard, all the sets. So all of that can be found on the drive in the solution folder. In the supplementary part, if you are facing any difficulties in understanding any problem or any concept, you can watch the particular lecture to get to know more about that concept. As Mantra said, he has put the concept about strengths in the drive, so you can go over there to learn about that particular concept. And then we have the session recordings, so all the session recordings are being put here. These are all the official sessions that were taken. Yeah, this is about the recordings and all of that. Apart from that, like we will be updating all the information regarding the camp on this dock. That is also in the drive itself. So you can go to the drive and see the what's the current thing that's going on. In case if you miss some message on the group, then this is the detail of the programming club. If you want to contact anyone in case, you can contact either of us. If there are any changes in the schedule, we will update it here, or you want to see what will be going in the future, you can see that here as well. That's about the schedule. If you think anything is missing in the drive, or you think anything is missing, you can just message it to us and we will update it by the night or so. So this is about that. One more thing which we have just put it on is the task completion status. Yeah, I think this can already be viewed on the top. Yeah, if it by chance happened that like I got a few responses that a few people were able to see and some were not able to see. So you can just go through the drive now and tell me if you're not able to see something. Just tell me if you are not able to see something, then maybe we can see what's the scene. I think most of you should be able to see. So yeah, this is on the drive. You can get it from here as well. Like I just have a folder of my drive on the laptop, so I can just access it as normal lab folder. But yeah, I think yeah, this should also be just a minute. Yeah, this is how it would look to you on the drive. Okay, this is how it will look. Yeah. A minute. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess this is it, right? So these are the problem set solutions, as you can see. Yeah. We'll update the problem set 5 solutions after the session. You can see the supplementary. Yeah, and you can see the recordings there. I guess since it's available on Drive for me as well online, so I think it should be available to you as well. Yeah, there is the talk about the information, task completion status, and schedule and details. So yeah, I will just explain about the task completion status. So you all guys can just see if you are able to see everything. If there are any discrepancies, you can just mention it in the chat. If you are able to. Okay, the drive link is in the WhatsApp description. So I hope you guys get to there. You can maybe save it on your laptop or somewhere. Like it's easy for you to access. Because like everything will be updated there. So you can see all the things from there. Okay. So this is the drive. So yeah, as you can see, there are names of all the coordinators and the respected persons they are allocated to. So if you have any queries, you can contact your particular coordinator. And this is the status about the task. So like we will keep on updating it here. Like we will make all the updates at the night. If you have any queries regarding the task status, you can ask your coordinator. This sheet will be directly shared with P5. So uh, only those who would have completed all the compulsory sets would get the course certificate and the prizes for the contest. I hope that is clear. So for completion, you must have at least 50% of the problems accepted and rest all should be attempted. And only that at that case, we will mark all the problems as completed. And yeah, and we will take it from so like in case you solve a problem and you have not make sure you mark it on the spreadsheet of your particular coordinator. I guess you guys would be knowing the sheet like each one of you have been mentioned on. So you can go onto that particular sheet and mark your status completed or accepted or attempted, whatever it is. Yeah. So can anyone from the attendees tell me if they're able to see the sheet on the drive? You can just write it on the chat. If you're able to see the Google sheet on the drive, or if you're not able to, you can just write that as well. We will anyway share the link, but yeah, if the drive access is there or not, I just wanted to. Maybe I think you guys don't have the drive link. Just a minute. Okay, okay. I guess Nishan is able to see. Okay, I guess if at least one person is able to see, then all of you should be able to. Yeah, I guess like basic details are the same. Like you can see your coordinator details here. Your name would be in this list. Corresponding to that, it would be your CFID, and then it would be your problem set status. So yeah, only if you would have completed all the problem set, you would get the course certificate and the prizes for the contest. And for the first 5 problem set, if by chance you missed like missed to do a problem set previously, we are giving you the time to till this Sunday. So if up to this Sunday you complete all the problems, like all the problem set from 1 to 5, you will mark it as completed. So you have the time till this Sunday. And to just make the load a bit less on you guys, problem set 6 won't be compulsory. So yeah, problem set 6 won't be compulsory, and yes, there won't be discussion for it as well, but we will post the video solutions. So I hope this is clear. Does anyone have any queries in this? Attendance, Tarun, yeah, attendance is directly linked with the MS Teams, and it's being sent to C5 after the session gets ends. So if you are attending the session with either your Fmail ID or with your roll number in your name, or if you just have your name as well, for a few people, we will see onto that. So yeah, so that is fine. Your attendance will be marked. So the main thing is if you attend a session, it is marked. Okay, if you have any discrepancies regarding the task status, you can directly contact your coordinator. That should be fine. Yeah. So yeah, make sure you have attempted all the uh, marked, attempted or completed on the problem sheet. So if you have done that, I think coordinators mostly will update the sheet every night, so you can see it in the morning. That should be fine. Yeah, Pradeep, I think there would have been some mistake, but yeah, if you have at least 50% accepted and yeah, if you have at least 50% accepted and rest are attempted, your status will be marked completed. Okay. Okay, if this is about the doc sheet, I think it should be clear to all of you. You can just go through it to see if you have all the problems that completed or not, because there might be some mistake that coordinators may make. So, and this is about the Google Drive as well. So we will put all the content there. So just go through it every time so that like like if you can just see what's going on. If you want to learn something from here or you missed a session, you can watch it from there. Okay. Does anyone have any queries in this part about the drive and the sheet? Find the drive on WhatsApp. Can someone resend? The drive is in the group description. Okay, let me just see. So Ayushman and which Anshuman, which group are you a part of?
I am in 6.
Okay, I'll just check. Okay, we will put it in the group description if it's not there. Thanks. Yeah, it's there, I guess. Yeah, you can see.
Yeah, okay, found. I didn't check in description. I just searched through messages.
Oh, the group description, the drive link is in the group description, and your respective sheet is as well in the group description. So you can go there to mark your status accepted or attempted, whatever it is. Since the solution videos are released as well, we expect that all of you can do at least 50% accepted. That's why we have put that status. But if 50% are attempted, that should be fine. So more than 50% should be 50% or more should be accepted, and rest are attempted is fine. Since the solution videos are released, I don't think this should be a problem. Again, if you get any queries as well while solving, you can ask it on the group or to your respective coordinators. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. Does anyone have any other queries regarding the drive or the sheet? Okay, there are no more queries. I will move on to the stone problem thing. So yeah, I will just explain it in a bit quick and then the team contest. So I'm not sure if all of you were present in yesterday's session, but there was a stone problem that was discussed. So I will just discuss the idea of that problem. So the idea is there is a pile of stones from which you can pick any perfect square. You can pick any number of stones in one move, and there are like say there are three piles like this. So there are three piles with some number of stones in each of the pile. In one move, you can remove any number of stones from the pile in one move. Yep, and the turns alternate, and the one who is not able to make a move will lose. So you have to remove a positive number of stones. So if all these three piles are zero, you can't make a move and you lose. So that's a problem statement. I will quickly go on to the solution. So name game. It's a famous game. Yeah, this is called the solution to this problem is Proj-Grudy theorem, and the game is called name game, I guess, if I'm correct. So you can see the game description on CP algorithm. So you can just write Proj-Grudy theorem CP algorithm. So I guess if you don't know, CP algorithm is like one of the best website for learning competitive programming. It has a lot, like almost all the concepts that are there in competitive programming, and it's on a much like kind of a advanced level. So like anything you want to learn, you can probably go here and learn it out. You can also see YouTube videos and also, yep, that will also be fine. Yeah. So, about the Proj, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but yeah, Proj-Grudy theorem. So yeah, this is the game description as we had discussed yesterday, and solution to this is basically the XOR of all the elements of the array, like number of stones in the piles. So if you take XOR of all of them, if this is zero, you are in a winning, you're in a losing position. If it's non-zero, you're in a winning position. So the thing is, whenever the XOR is non-zero, suppose the XOR is, suppose the XOR is S, right? Then it's always possible to remove some number of stones from one of the piles, such that the XOR will get to zero. So basically the thing is, suppose XOR was 5. Now it is possible to make a move such that the XOR will become 0. Now after this move, whatever the person will play, he will make XOR to some positive value X. But again after this thing, it's possible for us to make the XOR 0. So the winning strategy is, if your XOR is non-zero, decrease one of the elements by so much that the XOR of all the remaining, like all the elements become 0. And after that, the other person, whatever he will do, he is forced to make the XOR non-zero. Like that's pretty trivial if we just think on it. But yeah, so this is this thing pattern going on, and the losing position is when all the piles are 0. And in that case, the XOR is 0 to the person in this range, like who has the XOR 0 at every position will lose, and when you are on this position, you will win. So proof for it can be seen on the website. I'm not going into the proof explicitly, but it's a pretty nice proof, and the explanation as well on the website is pretty nice. I'll just quickly go on to the solution that I had for this. So I was using a code yesterday, if you guys remember. So I would just tell you what the code is. So the code now is pretty simple. So yeah, so I would define the number of piles that are there here. So if suppose there are 5 piles, 4 piles, then I will take an array, make an array, take all the 4 numbers as input. XOR will find the XOR of all the elements. So like I initialize it with 0 and take all the input and XOR it with everyone. So now XOR stores the XOR of all the elements. If XOR is 0, then it's a losing position. If XOR is non-zero, then it's always possible for us to then it's always possible for us to decrease an element by such an amount that that the XOR will become 0. So what we do for that is we iterate over all the elements, and if XOR with that element results in a number which is less than that particular element, then it means that if you decrease some amount by the AI, you can make the net XOR 0. So like this is because of the property of the XOR. You can see it here as well. Like where is it? Yeah. So this is the net XOR that was originally there, and this is the okay. This is the XOR of all the elements, and now you find an element X and Y. Like X is from the array, and Y is the new element, such that X XOR Y is S. And now XOR of two elements which are same is 0. So okay, I guess I'm not sure if all of you know about XOR as well in the first place. I just wanted to give an idea what this code does. So yeah, the basic strategy is if XOR is positive, you are in winning position, else you're in losing position. And I guess this was this code that I was using for the same. This was the code I was using. So is Sukir there in the session? Like, I'm not sure how he was doing the XOR thing mentally. Sukir, can you just raise your hand if you are in the meet?
Raised hand.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm not able to allow mic for some reason. Can anyone else do that? Yeah. Saptashi, maybe you can do that since you are the organizer.
Yeah, he can unmute. I mean, allow
For
mic.
me, it shows that he already has mic.
Okay, maybe Saptashi, you can just allow everyone to have the mic. That should be fine. Yeah. Sukir, now you can unmute yourself. So this was the strategy that I was using to make an element, like to make all element XOR of all the elements to be 0. Yeah. Sukir, can you try unmuting yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, even I use the same strategy like XOR.
Okay, so how were you calculating it? Like which element to decrease to make all the XOR 0?
Like as soon as you I was calculating the XOR after each stage, and like I tried to like remove elements such that like in each column there would be even number of ones, like so that the XOR will cancel out to give 0. So I was trying to remove stones such that we get to that position.
Okay, okay. So I guess the winning strategy is the same, like it's a unique strategy. But
Yeah, same
I'm a bit
strategy.
amazed that you were doing all the XOR thing like on calculation. So yeah, I'm not sure how you can exactly do that. Like I got that you were representing all the numbers in binary and then taking it out.
Yeah.
Still, it was a good thing. So yeah, so Sukir was able to somehow figure out the winning strategy, and he played with me, and like I lost the game. So yeah, okay. I guess you all got the losing strategy, winning strategy of this game. Yeah, this is to make XOR of all the elements 0 for the other person. Yeah. Thank you, Sukir. I will just quickly go on to team contest. So the next contest will be a team contest. Yeah. Just a minute. I will. Okay. So when you go on Codeforces, you get this option of teams. So here, what you can do is you can create a new team, and maybe you can give some name. Okay. And now once you have the name, like you can change it as well. You can invite users to your team. Maybe I will invite Mantra.
Well,
That's not
that's
his
not.
ID.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that is ID, but
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I got that. So you have just this thing, right? Yeah, I was actually thinking the same, but since I got that option, yeah, okay. Yeah, so you can invite a user this way, and yeah, Mantra, can you try accepting it? Okay, yes, I guess he accepted it, so now it's showing the status as active.
Yeah, I accepted.
Yeah, thank you. So now since like we both are in a team, you can see this here as well. Yeah. So this is the team, and now when you go on to contest, I will show you how the registration goes. Mm, Let me take a team contest. Mm, yeah. So suppose for this contest you go, now you can like while you go for registration, you can register as a team and you can choose your team name. Suppose I want to register with Mantra, I can do this. Make sure you select the participant. So you should register yourself, obviously, and you can select other members you want from the team. So this is how it goes. Yeah, I think I will not register it out, but yeah. So after you register for the contest, it's basically the same thing as for any regular contest. You both will be solving simultaneously. The thing is, like, you will get the 10 or 12 problems on the screen, whatever are there, and now you both can decide on each other. Like you can be on a call or on a Google Meet or anything else, and you can decide among yourselves which problem you want to do, and like you can coordinate among yourselves that okay, I will do this problem, you do this problem, and this way you can solve it in team. So and for some problem you can discuss as well among yourself what is to be done and submit it. Whenever one of you will submit, it would be considered as a submission from the team, and like it will get accepted for both of you, right? So you could be see that you will be able to see that in the teams, and yeah. Does anyone have any queries till this point? Okay, I'm able to speak here. Does anyone have any queries till this point? So basically, you will be registering teams of 2 people only, and you will take the registration via a Google form that will be circulated just after the session. Yeah, I think this is it, right? So you can make the team by going on Codeforces teams plot, and there you can register yourself and your team. So team formation, you guys can decide among yourselves. Like you have the time till today evening. Can you show again how you did? Okay, yeah, I will show that again. So yeah, so I will make another team. Let's name it as team invite users. Okay, now which one is Saptarshi?
0506.
You have to type it out. And S is small.
Okay,
Yeah, that will be taken. Yeah.
okay, got it. Yeah, so I got him here. So Saptarshi, can you just accept the invitation? So once he will accept, it will show active here. This is the thing. So once you make the team, like this is just a process. So you make a team name and you invite the users you want to be with. Okay, now he has accepted, so it's showing the status active. Yeah, and you can maybe deregister as well, and you can delete the team as well. So if I want to delete, I can just delete it from here. Yeah. And if you want to create a new team, you just want to go here and type the name. It's as simple as that. And yeah, once you are registered with the team, I think yeah, the contest part is clear, right? Just when you register, you will get the option. So suppose I take this contest again, virtual participation. Like I'm doing virtual, but for you it will be register thing. Don't do virtual per thing. Yeah, register as a team, and you can select the team name. Yeah, and you can select the member you want to be with. So you can click here, and then you can register yourself. I hope this thing is clear. yeah, so like you won't get this option of time and all. That's just for the virtual contest part. But yeah, this way you can register as a team, and both of you will be giving the contest, and like both of you can submit the problems. Yeah, how many members? Same two. We will send out the Google form for the same. But yeah, so any submission that either of you does will be counted as for team, and like that will be showed on the leaderboard as well. So yeah, that's basically combining the powers. We will send the Google form, and you guys have to register on it. Both the members of the team should register, and they should fill their name, team name, and the other person's name. So you will get that by the form. Both the person have to fill, and you have to decide a team name. By today 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. we will send another form for those who are not able to make a team. So for those who are not able to make a team, we will give them a team member from all those who uh, don't have a member, like who also don't have a member. If you want to go alone, you can do that as well. So individual participation is allowed, but definitely if you go individual, you will have some loss over someone who is in a team, because they will both be able to solve, and like you would just be alone. So the speed programming contest, so speed matters. So that's why it's better if you go on with a partner. Yeah. Does anyone have any queries regarding this, regarding the team contest or this one? Creation and registration process is clear. And remember, only those teams who will be registered from the form will be eligible for the prizes and all. If you're individual, you can make that as well, mark that as well. I know a few people would be willing to give individually. If you have any queries, you can just write it on chat or speak it up. But yeah, this is done. So okay, we do accept that this might give unfair advantage when two strong people pair up over an like disadvantage to if a person is not have come up with nice team names as well. Yeah, true. So there should be fun thing. So you can try different teams. Any name is fine. There's no restriction on that part. But yeah, so the thing is, there is a bit of disadvantage if you're not able to get a good partner. But the thing is, this is for the fun part of it. When you give a contest team, it's a bit more fun to interact with the other person and to solve the problems in team. If you can get a friend of yours in the team, that's actually better. So you can ask anyone who is in the camp to register with you, but they should be in the camp for sure. Does anyone have any other queries? Okay, yep. Okay, yep. So you should register in teams. We will send out the forms, and only those teams who have registered on the form will be eligible for the contest. Okay guys, so if there are no more queries regarding the contest or anything, we will end the video. I hope you all liked the stone problem. But the solution to